1 week. That's all it took for the Nigerian stock market to completely change the conversation. Not long ago, people were asking whether the rally was over. Today, Nigeria has officially become the best performing stock market in the world in dollar terms, returning about 67% so far this year, according to Bloomberg. That's even ahead of South Korea's Kospi, which returned about 66% over the same period. Now, when I first saw that headline, I honestly had to read it twice because let's be honest, guys, if I had told you at the beginning of this year that Nigeria would outperform almost every major stock market on the continent, on the planet, not even on the continent, like on the planet, most people would have laughed at me, Micah. But that's exactly what has happened recently. Now, here's the part that interests me the most. History shows that markets don't usually become the world's best performer and then keep running at the same pace forever. Sometimes the rally continues, sometimes the market slows down a bit, sometimes leadership quietly shifts to completely different sectors or markets. So the question I'm trying to answer in today's video isn't whether the Nigerian stock market has done well. We already know that it has. The real question is, what usually happens after a stock market becomes the best performing market in the world? Because the answer to that question could tell us a lot about where the biggest opportunities and the biggest risk might be over the next few months. So in this video, we are going to investigate exactly that. Not to celebrate the rally, guys. I mean, we are not here to celebrate, not to predict where the market goes tomorrow, but to understand what history can teach us about what usually comes next. So you want to do well to smash the like button. See that like button like this? You want to smash it, guys. Tap it. And you also want to do well to subscribe to the channel if you have not, and also share this video with someone that might find it valuable. All right, without much talk, guys, let's jump right into today's video. Let's go. Now, before we look at what usually happens next, it's worth spending just a minute to understand how we got here in the first place. Because stock markets don't become the best performing market in the world by accident. Money has to come from somewhere, right? You see, one of the biggest reasons was what happened in the fixed income market. At the beginning of the year, treasury bills were paying very attractive returns. For many investors, it made more sense to lock in those yields than to take the extra risk of buying stocks. But as the year went on, those yields gradually started coming down. And when safer investments begin paying less, investors naturally start looking elsewhere for better returns. For many of them, that somewhere else was the Nigerian stock market. At the same time, there was another powerful force quietly building in the background: pension funds. You see, new regulatory changes allowed pension fund managers to increase how much they could invest in equities. In fact, equity allocation rose by about 27% this year, with analysts estimating that as much as 1.6 trillion naira could eventually find its way into the market. Now, think about that for some minutes and what that actually means. You see, when large institutional investors begin putting more money into stocks, they are not buying 100,000 naira worth of shares, they are buying in billions of naira. And when that kind of money starts chasing quality businesses, price tends to move. So the rally we have seen this year wasn't simply because investors became more optimistic overnight. There was real money flowing into the market. But here's the thing, guys. Understanding why the market went up doesn't automatically, tell us what happens next. And that's where history becomes really interesting. Well, I went back and looked at what happened in other markets that found themselves, in exactly the same position as the Nigerian stock market. And interestingly, the first example is sitting right inside today's story. You see, just a short while ago, South Korea's Kospi was being celebrated as one of the world's strongest performing major stock markets. In fact, by May 2026, it had climbed above the 7,000 mark for the first time in its history. But fast forward a few weeks, Nigeria had overtaken it in dollar returns. Now, that does not mean South Korea suddenly became a bad market. It simply shows how quickly market leadership can actually change. Being number one doesn't guarantee you stay number one forever. And that's a pattern I kept seeing when I looked further back. Take Argentina, for example. Back in 2013, its stock market returned almost 89% in a single year. If you had assumed, well, that's it, the rally is over, you would have been wrong. The following year, the market gained another 59%. Then it rose another 36%. year after that. So in Argentina's case, being the world's standout performer wasn't the end of the story or the rally. But then I found the exact opposite. Saudi Arabia. Its stock market gained about 25% in 2013. The following year, it actually lost about 2%. Then the year after that, it fell another 17%. Completely different outcome. And then there's probably the best counter example of all, the United States. After the S&P 500 gained roughly 30% in 2013, it didn't collapse. It simply slowed down. The following year, it still delivered another double-digit return of around 11 to 14% before, flattening out the year after. So after looking through all these examples, here's the conclusion I came to. There isn't one universal pattern when it comes to being the top performer. History doesn't tell us that the world's best performing markets must crash. It also doesn't tell us the rally will continue exactly as before. What history tries to tell us is that becoming number one changes the game. Some markets keep climbing, some spend time moving sideways, while company earnings, catch up. Others give back a significant part of their gains, which means the headline world's best performing stock market doesn't actually answer the question investors should be asking. The better question is, what will determine which path Nigeria follows from here? Well, to answer that, I think we need to look at what the market is telling us today. Because if Nigeria is going to keep, outperforming its peers, the evidence at least should already be there, right? And when I started digging into the numbers, I found a story that's a little more balanced than I expected. Because on one hand, there are things happening today that simply weren't happening a few years ago. Take the banks, for example. This year alone, they have raised almost 2 trillion naira from the market. Now, why is that important? Because you see, companies don't raise that kind of money if investors aren't willing to provide it. Then you have got, the pension funds. We already talked about them earlier in this video. Regulations changed. More institutional money entered the market. And unlike retail investors like me and you, pension funds don't usually wake up one morning and decide, you know what, let's sell everything. Let's sell all our portfolio stocks. Pension funds are long-term money. Now, does that mean the rally just continues from here? Well, not necessarily, because there's another side to this. One thing I always remind myself is this, guys. A good story can still become overpriced, even if nothing is wrong with the business. And that's why I started looking at the valuation of the Nigerian market. The Nigerian market is currently trading at around 15 times earnings, which is, it has a P ratio of 15x. Is that expensive? Not really, but it's definitely more expensive than it was when this rally started. So naturally, future returns become a little harder to come by. Then there's something else, the size of our markets. Most people celebrated the Bloomberg headlines, and I mean, there's nothing wrong in celebrating that. I'm happy for Nigeria. I'm invested in the market. But very few people stop to ask one question. How big is Nigeria's stock market compared to the other markets we are competing with? The answer actually did surprise me. You see, South Korea's stock market, which we overtook, is roughly 35 times bigger than the Nigerian stock market. Think about what that means, guys. If you pour one bucket of water into a cup, the cup just fills up. The water level rises, very quickly. But I want you to pour that same bucket into a swimming pool. We didn't even notice any water coming into the swimming pool. That's basically the difference between the Nigerian market and South Korean market. Nigeria doesn't need, nearly much money to move stock prices. We have lots of penny stocks that if you just put in $50,000, even with most of our big stocks, can move the prices. Now, I'm not saying this is bad. What I'm just saying is this is great when money is flowing in, but it also works the other way around when money wants to flow out. It's not easy. I don't know if you guys get the point. But really, after everything we have tried to touch in this video, am I selling my Nigerian stocks because the market has become the best performing market in the world? The answer is a big no. But am I also running around buying every stock that's already doubled this year? The answer is also a very big no. Personally, I'm becoming a lot more selective, like very, very selective, because I think I've entered a different phase of the market. Earlier in the rally, a lot of stocks were simply moving because money was flowing into the market. But from here, I think the question becomes much more important. Is this business actually becoming more valuable than it used to be? Or am I simply paying a higher price for the exact same business? That's the key question you should be asking in any stock you're buying currently, because those are two completely different things. And that's the question I personally would keep asking before I add anything new to my portfolio. So right now, I'm still gradually putting money into sectors I believe have long-term potential, but I'm just taking my time because I'd rather miss the first 5% of a move than rush into something simply because everyone else is running to go and buy it or excited about it. Now, there's also one thing I'm watching closely over the next few weeks. You see, back in June 30th, the FTSE Russell placed Nigeria's possible frontier market reclassification under further review because of concerns around our move to a T+1 settlement system. A few days later, a delegation from the Nigerian stock market or the Nigerian exchange, led by its chairman, Umaru Haranga, I hope I pronounced that correctly, traveled to London to meet with the guys at FTSE Russell and international investors to also address those concerns. Now, I am waiting personally. FTSE Russell says it will give definitive updates by the end of August. So for me, that's one of the biggest dates for us as investors to watch, not because it tells us where the markets will go tomorrow, but because it could influence how international investors think about Nigeria going forward. So until then, my eyes are wide open. I'm researching and I'm staying patient because one thing history teaches us is this: during a strong rally, almost everything looks like a great investment. But after the rally, that's when the market starts separating genuinely great businesses from stocks that simply had a great story. And I think that is the phase we are beginning to enter now. So you want to be more careful when making your investments. Like I always love to say, you want to stay sharp, stay safe, and invest wisely.